right? And you can see how it comes outside your hands, whereas Zach Johnson's gonna be coming down on plane and from the inside. Bruce is a golfer that came to the golf room and he does exactly what you do. He goes shallow, steep, shallow in his swing, and we fix it in record time. We fix it by creating a perfect practice plan for his body, for his skill, and his mind. Tie it all together so that now Bruce has a perfect roadmap at how to get better. Let me show you how we did it. First, what I want to do is I want to hear a little bit about your story, like your body story, really, because we're going to start with an assessment with Aaron. Like, do you have any injuries, torn ACL when you're 16 and played high school basketball?
Yeah.
Like, do you have any aches and pains?
So I did tear my Achilles tendon,
Okay.
like when I was 40 playing basketball.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Which one?
Right.
Right one. Got
Yeah. And with my work, it was a really strain on my back for 36 years. So it's a little tender from time to time.
What was your line of work?
I was an oral surgeon.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. All right, Bruce, what we're going to do here is we're going to run you through a few physical assessments, just seeing how you can move in space, and then we'll go from there. All right, Bruce. So after your physical assessment and kind of talking with Kyle, a few things to follow up with you on. Just a little bit of mobility work. So your hips are pretty close. We just need to open up a little bit more, and then same with the upper back. It's turning. Now we just need a little bit more mobility. So being a little bit more intentional with the mobility. Then from there, we're going to work on a little bit of shoulder rotation, because again, we're a little steep in transition, and it's because we're lacking a little bit of shoulder rotation as well as weight shift. So we need to open up the shoulders just a little bit. And then the last piece, we're going to work on shifting your weight. So a little bit more single leg stability, really feeling load into one side and then shifting into the other side.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Good.
Everyone needs a plan, and ultimately I want to make it so that you have a plan. So inside this video, inside the link, you're going to find an opportunity to take a new student swing assessment with my coaches at the Golf Room Everywhere, where we're going to give you a full diagnostic report to what you ultimately do and what you need to ultimately fix and how to fix it. Right? So not just telling you what you do wrong, but actually giving you the prescription and the remedy, like the practice stations that you're seeing inside this video. We're going to provide that for you. So if that is of interest, go to our description of this video. You'll see a little link there for a new student swing assessment. Check it out, send us your video, get a full report of whatever it is that you need to do for your swing so that ultimately you can start playing your best golf. But in the meantime, let's get back to the video. What I want you to pay attention to primarily is this swing direction number. So you can see that your swing direction on those swings was minus 10 degrees over the top. So that means like the hula hoop is 10 degrees to the left, whereas Zach Johnson's is 2.7 degrees to the right. So the question then is why? Why does that happen? So there's two main things, or maybe three main things that we need to focus on. So I'm gonna draw some lines, and I'm gonna draw a line up the shaft and then on your hands, and I'm going to do the same thing for Zach Johnson. So Zach Johnson, what he's going to do is he's going to tilt, so he's tilted over, which is what you'll see here on banner 3, right? So he's tilted over, he's turning, which is making his hands work in, right? So he's turning his hips, and he's hinging his wrists. But I want you to notice how he's hinging. Do you see here how the club face is 90 degrees to the plane, or AKA matching his spine? And then as we do that same thing with you, what we're going to see is as you go back, hands are in a pretty good spot, club shaft's in a pretty good spot. So right here you go, hey, like Ryder Cup captain, Bruce, I'm a 24. You go, so far, not too much different, right? But now as we go and enter up to the top of the swing, let me zoom out a little here so we get the full picture. As you go up, what you're going to see is a very, very big difference with the way that your club face is and Zach Johnson's club face at the top, right? So you can see that Zach, right? Zach has his left arm is matching his shoulders, his hands, and the, like if you drew a line from the ball to the grip to the shaft, it's all on one, and that shaft, that face is kind of looking towards the sky, right? Whereas if we look at yours, we can see how your left arm is a little bit above your shoulders and the club is laid off. So now if I take a golf club and I take my marker again, right, and I think of this as like if it was a really big heavy axe, and I took the club back and the axe was like this at the top. as I change directions, the axe would want to go here, right? Just like, you know, if I was going to swing an axe, I would swing it in and then I'd leverage it up. Or a baseball, right? It's baseball season, so if you see all baseball players, the bat sits up. Bats don't sit like this. Yeah. So they sit up, and then as they change direction, that bat shallows and comes back in the slot. So your club is laid off and also causes the face to be open at the top, right? Which we might need to look a little bit at your grip, because you can see how in your left wrist, how your left wrist is flat, but the face is open. So if your left wrist was cupped and the face was open, that means your grip is okay, but the face is open. This is, your grip is, we're going to look at it because your face is, your left wrist is flat, which I like it should be, but the face is open, meaning your grip is probably too weak. Okay? And now what's very interesting, Bruce, is that I did a video actually like on YouTube on this maybe a couple of weeks ago, and it was about the face, and the face is like king of the castle. So it doesn't matter, like the body intuitively knows where the club face is at, and you know that the face is open. So now what ends up happening is now you kind of throw it right, you kind of throw it over the top, right, where that club should be coming back down on the plane, right? And you can see how it comes outside your hands, whereas Zach Johnson's going to be coming down on plane and from the inside. And then the second piece, to elude what kind of Aaron was saying, is that if we have a line right up this left foot and we have Zach right up this left foot, as you're going to see, Zach goes back and then he shifts into that line, right? As we go back up to the top, you can see you're behind the line. So that's why you have no lag, as much lag as you want, whereas you can see he's got like all these angles in his wrist because you're not able to shift into that lead side like Aaron was articulating. So the two main issues that we have is we need to check your grip and the club face, which is going to make the club more on plane and then get you moving into your lead side. And to the point of the divots, I remember when we had COVID, you know, we were booked out, so all of our lessons went to playing lessons. So I did playing lessons a lot. What else were you going to do? And I don't think overdoing playing lessons for 2 months, I saw a guy take a divot. And it's just the amount, when you look at this, the lack, if you kind of look here at the top graph, right, and we kind of pull this down and blow it up, right, this is your trail foot and your lead foot. So what you're going to see is that first, at setup, you're 70% on your trail foot. You kind of load, but then you can see, like, you at left arm parallel, which is here, you should have 80% of your pressure in your lead side. You have 80% of your pressure on your trail side. So you're literally just hitting it off of your back foot. Yeah. Right? So you kind of open face, back foot, swing, and then you kind of, as Aaron had said, you kind of get to your left side. You get to your left side, but it's like very, very late. Yeah. You're kind of like the baseball player that you would swing and you'd go, compared to like stepping and swinging. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's three things: club face, we got to check your grip, which should fix your face, and then your pressure shifting to your lead side. Sound good? So Bruce, I talk about this quote in basically every lesson, beginning journey of players' processes. So essentially this quote would be if Tiger Woods walks through the door and you said, "Oh my gosh, it's Tiger. I'm going to ask him a question, but I only get one." And you ask him and you go, "Tiger, how do you go about getting better?" Seems like a reasonable guy who developed a swing 4 different ways, 4 different number ones, 4 different coaches. He would know. He says, first, I need to understand what I need to do. That's what happens with Aaron and I, right? I need to understand what is truth, right? So that I'm not like looking at 97 different YouTube videos and saying, let me try that, right? Then I need to practice. And when I practice, I need to make sure that it looks better. It doesn't necessarily matter where it goes. It just needs to look better on film, right? Film says 1,000 words. Then it starts to perform better, or then it starts to feel better, then it performs better, then you can do it on the course, and then you can do it in the, you know, your member at your club. Yeah. So the first thing that we want to do is we need to make your grip, we need to alter your grip, because your grip, as we said, your left wrist was flat, but the face was open. So if we look at this, if you look at my left hand, do you see how my left hand first is holding it in the fingers, and how the V goes to my right shoulder? See that? Then I'm going to take my right hand where your V goes to your left shoulder. And it's a little bit in your palm. So we're going to move it over, right? And we're going to have the V in our right hand also match over there. It's going to feel like they're very twisted away from the target.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to put this very much down in your fingers, right? And there. So you see how much more over that left hand is, right? And now put your right hand on. And your right hand. So now you can feel how much more twisted your hands feel away from the target. Feels so weird. And in a very weird way, the weirder it's like, that's what changes your handicap. You want it to be different. It's almost like the more different, the more expensive. You know what I mean? Okay, now, if I could take this. So that's going to be the grip, okay? Now the second piece is that we saw to kind of articulate this more. This is the target line, okay? So what you did is as you took the club back, the club went too shallow, meaning it would look outside the ball. So it was laid off at the top, and then you would change direction. And then with that external shoulder rotation, it would throw outside and you hit that -10 swing direction. So what we want to do is to get this club working back what we call steep, which is it's working deep with our hands, but it's looking at or inside the ball. So then that way, when I change directions, it'll then shallow, and then I can swing. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to this wall, right? Imagine you have walls at your house, and you would go back and you would go like this, right?
Yeah.
You don't want that. So what I want you to do is go back and turn and try to get the shaft to go up the wall with the stock shot setter going into your lead arm, because that's going to ensure that the face is square. It's going to feel very different. So it's working on depth, right? And we had, hold on, let's get in our setup, because we had a little bit more hip hinge that we talked about with Aaron, right? And then as it goes back, it's turning, turn your hips, turn your hips, turn your hips, turn. And you can see how much more that shaft feels like it's up and down, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that again. So I'm going to draw a smiley. Don't worry, this will come off. I'm going to draw a smiley on your face. What do you want to name it? My son's is named Francisco.
That's fine.
Okay, we'll call it Betty.
Okay.
Betty. Betty and Bruce. So what we're going to do is we're going to have Betty, this is the marker is the ball, right? We're going to have Betty look at the golf ball as long as Betty can. Right? Good. Okay, let's do that again. Good. A couple more there. So you're going to really feel your hands working towards the wall and the club up. Good. Good job. Hey, sorry for interrupting your video, but I want to just make sure that you understand that your body is important, your swing is important, and your mind is important. Your skill, body, and mind are what make you up as a golfer. And many times, most players, and it never gets talked about on YouTube, social media, or whatever, is how these things go together, which is why we're here. I want to give you an opportunity where you can actually understand how your body impacts your swing and how your mind impacts your swing, which ultimately impacts your scorecard. So if that's of interest to you and you really want to dive in and you want to take your game to the next level, I want you to go to the link inside this video, and you're going to see an application to come join us right here in Columbus and build a plan for your game. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do a drill that's this is an exaggeration. Can I borrow this for a second?
Yeah.
So what we're going to do, maybe come right over here for me. This is going to feel fairly nuts, but that's okay. We want it to feel different, right? So we're going to set up, right? We're going to have this in our spot, and we're going to go back and we're going to go over the stick. See that? And then it's up on the wall, then under the stick and around. So it's going to feel like it's doing a big old loop-de-loop. Ideally, we want it to just go back and down, but we're going to train the exaggerated to get the normal. So it's going to go back steep, 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 shallow, 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 and then swing.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Good job. Good job. Maybe this one a little bit more under. There you go. Good. And getting your setup. Good hip hinge. Betty's looking at the ball. Steep, 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 steep. Under, 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 under. Okay. Good. And then all the way through and into your finish. Pretty weird, huh?
Yeah.
Good. Under, 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 under. Good job. Now, if you could just try to feel a little bit more, which I know you know how to do, just try to feel a little bit more hands to the wall. So try to really feel like your hands, your arms are working in. So no, so the club will actually hinge this way. It doesn't hinge that way.
Okay.
So you're just turning. Just turn, 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 turn. Good, and then down. Good. Okay, again. So turn, 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 hinge, 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 and then down. Good. Okay. Let's do it again, or maybe a little quicker. Good hip hinge, turn, 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 down. So I want you to notice, Bruce, look at how much different that looks at the top.
Yeah.
Relative to this. So see now how your left arm is matching the club face, right? And it's kind of like if this was the ball, we want the club to be sitting somewhere inside this triangle. It's called the triangle of friendship, right? Whereas in this one over here, you can see how it's outside the triangle. You're outside the friend zone. Yeah. So now what ends up happening is here on the right, or I'm sorry, here on the left, right? This was the plane. That's where we want to come down at. Now you can see just when you change directions, the shaft will come shallow.
Yeah.
See that? Whereas here, this was the original plane, right? You can see that the shaft will go steep and over, right?
Yeah,
See how it comes down outside, and then here it comes down from the inside and around.
Okay.
So that starts to look better. So now, and you go, man, that you could say that feels great. You could say it feels bad. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Right. So now you do it. Now we got to see if we can try to hit a ball to it, and then over time it'll start to feel better. Then it performs better. Then you can take the course and then turn it.
Yeah.
And you keep doing it. But this is kind of following this steep, shallow, steep pattern.
Great.
Okay. So we got grip, kind of getting the club to go back steeper, and then it'll go whoop, just like when you shift to the left. Which kind of what you'll notice too, which is really cool, is now right. Remember how we said that you didn't shift? Watch what organically happened when we did this. See how you kind of like you start to get a little bit more into your lead side?
Wow, that's great.
Now let me ask you a question before we bring in Sean, just on practice. So you have two kids. You have kids?
Yeah.
How old?
36, 34, and 31.
Any grandbabies yet?
One.
One? How old?
1 year old.
Great. So the 1 year old, 2 years from now, they're 3. Maybe 5. We'll call it 5. They're 5 now.
Yeah.
So you have two things that you can do. You're going to teach them how to do math. Would you rather have them do 100,000 problems where the answers are all wrong, or would you rather have them do 5 that they're absolutely right? And he goes 5 plus 5 equals 10. And after 5, he goes, I'm done.
Yeah.
Which one?
Obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is where when Tiger's talking about understanding and looking, the answer key, like 5 plus 5 is 10, the answer key is the camera. The camera tells you whether or not you did it correctly, right? So even if we make 100,000 swings, but they're wrong, we're just a golf ball whacker guy.
Yeah.
I'd rather do 5 reps with quality than 100,000 reps that were improper, right? Because then once you do 1, then it's like, okay, if I do it once, that's luck. Twice, okay, now you're showing off, now it's skill. So, and it doesn't matter. I would also say that, well, when Luke is doing the problems, it's not how fast Luke does them. I'd rather him know for a fact that he's doing them correctly and do the 5 and takes the same amount of time, but he gets the right answer, than do 100,000 and just rip through them.
Yeah.
So that's where it's like you're trying to learn a pattern to where when you do this, you're like, okay, it's like deeper, steeper, shallow, and around.
Yeah.
Deeper, steeper, shallow, and around. And then you can do that, and you're like, that looks great. And I'm like, yeah, how far is it going? You're like, 55 yards. But what happens is now when we bring in the mental piece, over time, that pattern will start to showcase itself subconsciously in your swing, right? Just like at one time you had to really think about 5 plus 5, and I'm like, hey, what's 4 plus 4? You're like, 8, duh. But at one time it was like 1, 2, like you had to count it. So that's where you practice by mechanics, which this is mechanics, but then we need to do the mind piece, which is playing by feel.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Got it.
Cool.
So today we're going to be measuring, basically to simplify it, which part of the brain you're in. Like Kyle just mentioned, the prefrontal cortex, more of the thinking part of your brain, or the motor cortex, more of just the trusting, creative part of your brain. We're going to find things that are specific to you. Everyone's very different on what gets them into that motor cortex. So like, for example, some people are very visual, where focusing on a visual playing intention would be very good for them, whether it's a dimple on the ball, picturing what a good shot looks like, whatever it is. Other people hate that. It might make them think more, right? They might be more focused on something like a feel, like a relaxed jaw, maybe a softer grip, some relaxed shoulders, something like that. Everyone's different, so we're going to run through a list of things today, and we're going to find what gets you in that motor cortex best.
Okay.
And then what's cool about the FocusBand is you can see on the screen here when you're in which part of your brain. So we'll put this in your coach now afterwards. You can see now you're in your prefrontal cortex. Hopefully we can find some things today that can get you into that creative side of your brain on that motor cortex.
Okay.
So cool. So for these next few shots, visualize standing maybe a little bit behind the ball and ask yourself that question: what does a good shot look like? Now, everyone likes to see different things. A lot of things I hear are like the TrackMan tracer. Our coach Mitch likes to picture a fireball, right? Everyone has something different. Some people visualize with their eyes open or closed. Today, we'll just keep it high level, so I'll just ask that you visualize with your eyes open, maybe see the TrackMan tracer, asking yourself what a good shot looks like.
And when you're over the ball, Bruce, and you step up to it, the only thing that you're doing is visualizing that shot in your brain. That's it. How rich was the visual in your brain? Because there's an art, right, Sean, to like training to stay present over the ball.
Oh my God!
Right, and it's kind of like the analogy I always use is that like I can stare at you. I was in Colorado yesterday, and like I can still see the mountain range like in my mind's eye, even though I'm looking at you. So like that's where you're over the golf ball. Bob Rotello, who's like a very famous golf psychologist, right, kind of put golf performance like on the map. He kind of talked about it like it's like your third eye. So it's like you're behind the ball visualizing what does a good shot look like. You're really painting the picture, and then you walk up, you do your routine, and then you look at the flag, but then when you come back, you can still see the image in your mind's eye. Like you could see with the time that we're filming this, if you guys, I don't know if you guys watched the PGA Tour event with Keegan Bradley this past week at the Travelers, but that shot that he stuffed on 17, his visualization was so intense behind the golf ball. It looked like he was going to like eat the hole and like like he was going to make it he was going to be the boss. There's no way that ball was not hitting it to 5 feet. So there's like an intensity to it.
Yep.
You know, I had a guy who I worked with on tour, one of the best tour players on the PGA Tour in putting, and I said every single time he was getting ready to hit a putt, it looked like he was in a cage match, like a UFC cage match where he's like, I'm going to make you my watch, right? And it's just like, ugh, you know what I mean? And that's like the level of like feeling that you take in when you're seeing the shot, right? But it's also soft. Like it's not like you're like super stressed out, but okay. So, but hopefully you can see now, like as we've kind of connected what you did with your body, right? Some external rotation issues, some shifting issues, right? A little bit of posture stuff. That kind of gives you paints a picture for what you do with your body. Then how that then correlates to your swing, right? Because that makes it, the stuff you're trying to do, you're swing very hard because your body's kind of fighting it, and it's kind of fight or flight. And then at the same time, you go, okay, that's awesome to know. This is what I should do in the gym. This is how I should practice and change my pattern for, we kind of call it lesson of competence, like the long term, right? And then you go, but then when I go play golf, I have a lesson of confidence, because there's a balance of like, now this is what you're thinking while you play golf, and they're different. Right? But now you kind of have this whole thing of like skill, body, and mind, and a plan to kind of work through your journey.